FromSoftware have made some pretty swell games. Even this one, just don't admit you like it, otherwise you'll be fending off hordes of angry boys until your weapon breaks. Oh, for fuck's sake! Over the past 10 years, FromSoftware have been putting out some pretty dark games. Demon's Souls, Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and they have gathered a pretty massive dedicated audience. And I mean, you don't need me to tell you how great these games are, I've done it so much here, sometimes I forget why myself. Is it the difficulty? Shit. Oh god damn it. The lore? What the fuck is going on? But after Dark Souls 3, that was FromSoftware's last Dark Souls game for now. Or is it? Well, yes. Or is it? Yes. But they announced that it was coming out with 3 new games, one that Souls fans would like, one VR game, and one reboot of an old series. Rejoice for us Souls fans! We got our fix. It's not like we've had a Souls game every 2 fucking years. But here we have it, and we got Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Deracine, and Metal Wolf Chaos XD. Now the hype surrounding Sekiro is almost as big as your mum, and this is the game us Souls fans are really latching onto for obvious reasons. Awesome looking shinobi dudes slicing up folk in this familiar dark setting that Souls fans have become accustomed to. FromSoftware seem to be coming out of their angsty teenage years. And they're coming out and saying, hey you, stop typecasting us, we can do whatever we want, so that's where Deracine comes in. In this game you play as a fairy. I'm sorry, but what? A fucking fairy? Where's my invasions? Where's my demon beasties that will beat the shit out of me for hours? Now listen, I'm a man's man. I take my whiskey neat and I pay someone else to do my taxes. But good lord, something about this game looks gorgeous. The soundtrack, the aesthetic. The only real killer is to enjoy this game I'm going to have to strap a $600 piece of plastic on my face.
I'm a beautiful fairy princess.
Only to play it for 15 minutes because I'm the type of person who feels nauseous if I stand up too quickly. But this change of pace for FromSoftware could in the long run yield negative results for the company. Over the past 10 years, these lot have been the Dark Souls guys. Yes, there's been Bloodborne thrown in there, but that is still a Souls game deep down. They have been typecast as these Souls creators, so when they've drifted onto new things, I'm sure they'll lose a lot of their audience. So this is all about sacrificing that typecast for creative control, and part of me thinks Sekiro is only a thing to ease current FromSoftware fans into their current plan. With Sekiro being that stepping stone and, well, an awesome looking stepping stone at that, I don't know if that'll retain current FromSoftware fans, at least not all of them anyway. Joking aside, people are complaining that there's no PvP, leveling or weapons, and I think that's not fair. When we talk about sacrificing the typecast for creative control, Sekiro is aiming to be that game. The game that caters to Souls fans but offers a different enough experience to allow players who enjoyed the Souls games to feel somewhat at home, whether that be mechanics or storytelling. Seriously, what the fuck is going on? For the past 10 years, FromSoftware have only been releasing Souls games minus a few exceptions and one ghastly exception. And now after the Bandai Namco contract is up with the Dark Souls games, this begins the next phase of FromSoft's venture, and it's full of big mechs, fairies and shinobis. This audience that they've collected over the span of 10 years through Dark Souls, is that enough to propel them into this next phase? If we're being honest, I'm most interested in Sekiro because of Bloodborne. Because Bloodborne is a fucking masterpiece. But I feel at its core it was hindered by being too much like Dark Souls. And I feel as though this is our fault. And I know that might sound a bit odd, but that's where I feel Sekiro can thrive. This is that opportunity. Without the online aspect of Sekiro, the single player experience can become amazing. In my opinion, the invasions and the arena in Dark Souls always felt like they were tacked on. That's not to diminish how fun they are, but the PvP in Dark Souls is just so fundamentally flawed, and to see a game that's primarily focused on the single player experience, to me, well, that sounds all fine and dandy. Even if I'm someone who did enjoy the multiplayer, my argument being that with their refined focus on the single player experience, we as a player could be introduced to such a unique experience by FromSoftware without the shackles of online play. For example, there's so much cool stuff that got cut in Dark Souls 3 in relation to how the online functionality worked, which we never got to see in action. and we were left with the bog standard way of participating in online activities, and I feel this is because this is or was an integral part of Dark Souls, or what at least the DNA of Dark Souls was. With Bloodborne being the point of reference, we've seen what FromSoft can do with a Souls-like... Oh god. Not that term again. Bloodborne was such a unique experience. The majority of people who played it, myself included, will say that Bloodborne had the better single player. Did it need online? No, not really, but for some reason it got added, and maybe that's because FromSoftware were scared. Finally, it looks like FromSoft has the confidence to let go of the Souls formula. Despite Sekiro showing some resemblance, it's a different game. You wouldn't compare this to Dark Souls, would you? In numerous interviews, the president of the company, Hidetaka Miyazaki, has said they don't want to be known as the Souls people anymore, and I suppose there's an element of trust we have to put in the company. Trust that not only do we have to respect the will of a creative mind letting an IP go, but trust in the fact they understand we love the Souls games. Now there's been a bit of backlash with the reveal that there's no PvP, leveling or multiple weapons, and to that I say, well, this isn't Dark Souls. Now I know in no way do I have the right to tell you not to voice your wants. If you like something, then hell yeah, you want more of it, but that's just not what Sekiro is. My mindset is Sekiro is going to bridge the gap between Dark Souls and whatever the future holds for FromSoftware titles. Now this doesn't really include the new Fairy game or the reboot, because just because a company makes something, that doesn't automatically mean you'll like it, right? But with that said, you should definitely watch my videos that aren't talking about Dark Souls. Please. I think having an open mind when it comes to Sekiro is key to understanding where the future is going to take us with Souls-like games. And on the off chance Sekiro is shit, well, at least we'll have that Fairy VR game. After the sour taste the Dark Souls Remastered left in my mouth, I'm craving a new Souls experience, but it's not like I can't go back and play the others if I need my Souls PvP itch, even in Dark Souls Remastered. There's no one here! But the hype surrounding a game like Sekiro, that's the reason why I hold Dark Souls 2 in such high regard. I don't really care for Dark Souls 2 that much, I know it's the worst in the bunch, but it was that feeling, that experience surrounding the game, waiting for it to be released, watching the trailer, getting excited about it with my buddies. I'm looking forward to that feeling again. In regards to the other two games that aren't Sekiro, I'm not really interested in them. I had this mindset that because it's a FromSoftware game, and my channel is known for Souls stuff, I'd have to cover them. But I don't want to talk about this game. Or this game. Or this game. Now this isn't the Souls fanboy in me that's saying this, at least I think it is, but Sekiro looks fucking amazing. And I'm not really a big fan of the traditional Eastern setting, which is one of the main reasons why I wasn't a big fan of Nioh, until I played it again and realized it was actually stupidly good. But when I initially saw the trailer, none of that mattered. I was entranced by the stylized combat, the fluid nature of the playable character, and then I found out there's no leveling and you use the same weapon throughout the entire game, so you start to form a connection with it. And then I thought to myself, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to over-level, cheese everything, and then make people think I'm good at this game. Sekiro is going to focus on the player's skill and decision making, how you go about each encounter. Do you run through and beat the shit out of everyone, or do you carefully plan your route, eliminating people one by one, and the enemies all look so intimidating. Apart from this little old lady, she just looks like she's doing the morning rounds, and now she's fucking dead! With the cast of characters we've seen thus far, I'm so curious about what happened here. Why are there demon dudes? Why is my arm a budget Adam Jensen prosthetic?
I never asked for this.
This is a stealth game at its core, and if you treat it like a traditional Souls game, I think people are going to wind up getting frustrated with it. Taking on more than one opponent is tough, unless you have the right tools. And I only know that because the kind gentleman Sunlight Blade sent me some footage to use, and let me tell you, he died a lot. I'll go over this again. Sekiro is not a Souls game. Some mechanics share resemblance, but additions such as the posture system I think set it aside, and I feel that's where these games went wrong. Lords of the Fallen didn't do enough to try and diversify itself, and The Surge tried to at least, but fell extremely short in other aspects, which in turn overshadowed the creative attempt to form its own identity. And the same can be said for Immortal Unchained, and that's important. We all talk about these Souls-likes, But an important element of these games is the combat, and FromSoftware just seems to get the general feel of this right. Even in Dark Souls 1, where you could say had the clunkiest combat, it still feels good. The dodging in Bloodborne feels great. You know you've done something right if dodging an enemy feels good to do. Bloodborne, I feel, got this right the most out of all the Soulsborne games. The impact of the weapon and the noticeable stagger and impact it has on the enemies, there's no better way to describe it other than satisfying. This mixed with the awe-inspiring soundtrack, the design of the enemies all work together to form this totally badass experience, and it looks like Sekiro is continuing this formula. As the fidelity of the graphics are improving, as the mechanics are expanding beyond being a Souls-like, calling Sekiro a simple Souls-like would be doing the game an injustice. This is looking like it's trying to be more, trying to shed the skin and be born anew. They've even come out and said they want to get rid of the company's long-running jokes, such as Patches, "Not my bald-headed baby boy." FromSoftware have proven they know how to do the Souls formula time and time again, and at this point they're unmatched in both quality and execution. Now they're returning to their older games for inspiration, and they'll showcase to us, the FromSoft fans, that we have nothing to worry about. And again, if Sekiro is shit, we can all play that fucking fairy game. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video and the different style. It was a lot of fun making it, and I think I'm going to stick with this style. If you did enjoy it, remember to leave a like and subscribe and turn on that little bell thingy so you know when I upload next. I think this is the first time I've actually mentioned the bell. Why is this a thing? Sorry for the long wait. For those who are following me on Twitter and know why this video took so long to make. But we're getting back into the swing of things, and that's pretty much it. Bye!